So first of all, this day is a day that is like an island in the middle of Spheres Omer, because Spheres Omer is the 6 weeks is a time where there are no weddings and there are no live music, and you're not allowed to take haircuts, buy new clothes, and that's because we mourn the passing of Rabbi Akiva students. And yet this one day, which is like Baomer, the next 24 hours, is not just simcha, but the kind of simcha that we don't have it other times of the year, dancing and singing literally all night long. Thank you. So there's two parts to Lag Baomer. One is which is just halacha, and one which is connected more to chassidus. Halacha, if you look in the Shulchan Aruch, it doesn't really call for tremendous simcha today. It just says that the mourning doesn't continue. You are allowed to make weddings, you are allowed to take a haircut, you're allowed to do the things, but it doesn't say anywhere in the Shulchan Aruch that you must be dancing and singing today. So there's a second reason for that, and that is because it's the Yortzeit, the Yom Hilula of Shimon Bar Yochai. And Yortzeit means the anniversary of his passing. Yom Hilula means the same thing from Zohar, but actually Hilula means a wedding. And it comes from the fact that Shimon Bar Yochai requested before his passing that his day of passing should be remembered and celebrated like a wedding. This was his bakasha, his request. So therefore, it's celebrated in such a simchadik way. And those who follow Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, which is mainly Chassidim and Sephardic Jews who either study Kabbalah or study Chassidus, so therefore, in these circles, you find that this day is a day of great joy, a lot of simcha, because of Shimon Bar Yochai. So the sheet that I gave out is just to see you can say the timeline, or actually the chain of how the Chassidus became revealed. So even though it was revealed to the Baal Shem Tov, but we can say the beginning, the first step, and the first stage began with Shimon Bar Yochai. He was the first one to start revealing Kabbalah. And in fact, in his generation, Kabbalah was revealed to the point that even children were familiar with the teachings of Kabbalah. That was 1800 years ago. After his generation, things became hidden again. And it sort of continued in that way up until the Arizal, which is 400 years ago. So we're talking about 1400 years where there wasn't any major change. Different things did happen along the way, but the major turning point was in the times of the Arizal. He was the one that said that now the time has come that not only it's permissible to study Kabbalah, but it's actually a mitzvah to publicize Kabbalah. And after the Arizal, there was someone called Rabbi Yohu Baal Shem, and he began to, he was called Baal Shem. The word Baal Shem means a master of Hashem's name. He performed tremendous miracles like the Baal Shem Tov, and he was the one that sort of was the teacher of Kabbalah of his generation. He established yeshivas in Kabbalah, something which is unprecedented. And then his successor was Rabbi Yoel Baal Shem, and his successor was Rabbi Adam Baal Shem. Anyone who ever read the memoirs of the Frierdiker Rebbe would know more about this and the details of where they lived and other things. These are 3 generations after the Arizal that continued the teachings of Kabbalah. And by the way, from the beginning, from Yoel Baal Shem, there was opposition from others, and to the extent that a lot of the people who followed the Baal Shem had to be in hiding. They hid their identity. And then came Rabbi Saul Baal Shem Tov, and what was the turning point? And then was, what he revealed was Chassidus. Up until then, it's Kabbalah. Chassidus began with the Baal Shem Tov. And the Baal Shem Tov, who taught him Chassidus, even though he came after these generations, but his teacher was someone that came before Rabbi Baal Shem, before Rabbi Yoel Baal Shem, before Rabbi Yoel Baal Shem, before the Rizal, and before Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. His teacher was Achia Shiloini. Just to get a little bit of a perspective, where does he fit into the map? So here's another sheet, Sarah, if you don't mind. Thank you. The Rambam writes that there are 40 generations from Moshe Rabbeinu until the Gemara was completed. The Gemara was completed approximately 1,500 years ago. The Torah was given over 3,300 years ago. From when the Torah was given until the Gemara was completed, which means we had the complete Torah Shabbat, the written Torah, and the complete platform of the oral Torah. All the rest is commentary on that. This was completed in 40 generations from when the Torah was given until the times of the Talmud being finished. And on this sheet, you have all the 40 generations, meaning to say, how do we define a generation? By the leader. This person was the head of his generation, and this was the head of his generation. The words you see here, to receive the tradition, means in every generation, this just like Moshe Rabbeinu received the Torah from Hashem, Yoshua received the Torah from Moshe. And the one who followed Yoshua, he received the Torah from Yeshua, which is Pinchas, and it goes on for 40 generations. So if you look at number 33, which means this was, it's 33 because this sheet is going from down up. But for Moshe Rabbeinu, it was actually 6, 7 generations later. What does it say here? That basic, look at number 35. David HaMelech, he came 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's considered 5 generations after Moshe Rabbeinu. And who received from him? Achia Shiloim. He was a Navi. Whoever learns Navi, Melachim, will see his name there. And he was the teacher of Torah that gave over the Torah to Eliyahu Navi. Then Eliyahu gave it to Elisha and so on. So this Achia Shilomi, who was actually a student of David HaMelech and the teacher of Eliyahu Navi, he's the one who taught the Baal Shem Tov Chassidus. Say it again. What I'm saying is that Achia Shilomi was a Navi. He lived in the times, as it says there, of David HaMelech. He was a Makabel of David HaMelech. And he was the one who gave over the teachings of Torah to Eliyahu Navi. So that gives you an idea where he was in history. So he was the one that came and taught the Baal Shem Tov Torah. And there's a long story for that. I'll save that for a little bit later when we get to Shavuos, the yard side of the Baal Shem Tov. But just one thing to give an idea who Achia Shaleni was, Baal Shem Tov was obviously a very big tzaddik. And even at this point, before it became revealed, the mere fact that Hashem sent him Achia Shaleni to teach him Torah means that he was a big tzaddik, and he was already aware of what's going on in the spiritual realm, and he knew a lot of things that are the hidden secrets of the world and hidden secrets of Torah. And then one day, this tzaddik, Achia Shaleni, told him that he's going to be learning with him. But this is what the Baal Shem Tov writes in a letter, that he came to him in a dream, and then he saw him again, and then he met with him at a certain cave, and they studied. At the end of the first day of their studying, Baal Shem Tov said, he obviously saw that this is a tzaddik and it's a very holy person, but he didn't know who it was. I would assume by that time he met with Eliyahu Navi more than once, so he knew it's not Eliyahu Navi. So he asked him, who are you? What's your name? So he said, not yet. With time, I'll tell you who I am. And they studied together for a year. After learning together for 1 year, he told him, I am Achia Shaleni. When the Baal Shem Tov heard those words, he fainted. That's after learning with him for a year. And after everything, so obviously Achia Shaleni was on a very high level. The Rambam writes that even though he was a student of David HaMelech and the teacher of Eliyahu Navi, he was one of the people that left Mitzrayim. So he went out of Mitzrayim, he was by Matan Torah, and he was in that generation. Then, of course, he obviously must have passed away like everybody else, and there was a funeral, and they buried him. But Tzaddikim continued to live. So he came and he studied Torah with the Baal Shem Tov. So if you look about Chassidus or Kabbalah, what's the line of how was it transmitted? In a sense, this is the line. It began with Shimon Bar Yochai, and then Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, the Arizal, Rabbi Yoel Baal Shem, Rabbi Yoel Baal Shem, Rabbi Oda Baal Shem, and then finally the Baal Shem Tov. And from the Baal Shem Tov, we went over to the Maggid Mezrich and all the masters of Chassidus, and the Alter Rebbe was the receiver of the Maggid Mezrich and so on. So, to understand a little bit more clearly what is unique about the Zohar, okay, he was the first, so what? Again, all these things, there's a lot to be talked about, but I'll have to be brief because of something that's called time. In the limited world, there's a...
Rabbi,
Yes.
what is the first one? Ashi?
Rav Ashi, he's the one who wrote the Gemara. There were two people, but I guess one was called Ravina, one was called Rav Ashi. But Rav Ashi is considered the one who wrote the Gemara. Sorry, can I bother you again? Sorry.
And before him?
Before him,
It's only the
Torah Shabbat Peh.
That's right.
Yeah, this is Torah Shabbat Peh. And Rabba was before him, Rabba before him, Rav Huna. So it says a lot of things about Lag Baomer. I would think one of the things which is probably, I don't know if you could say it, but one of the most powerful thing about Lag Baomer was something which the Rebbe Rashab said in the Maimer, and that is, and it needs to be explained, that Lag Baomer is Matan Torah of Pnimius HaTorah. In other words, just like we know that Shavuos, that's when Hashem gave us the Torah in general. So on Lag Baomer, in a sense, that's when Hashem gave us the hidden secrets of Torah. So I need to explain that. Why do I need to explain it? You need more of these? I don't have any more. Okay, so don't look in. The reason why I need to explain it is because everything was given by Matan Torah. There's no such thing as something in Torah which is going to be given later. In fact, it says in Chassidus that there never again will be Matan Torah. And all the Torah that was ever studied throughout the centuries, and all the Torah that Mashiach will teach, which will be so new, and all the Torah that Mashiach will teach forever, eternally, all that was all included in Matan Torah. So when we say the words that it's Matan Torah, Pnimis HaTorah, it doesn't mean literally Chas v'Shalom, but it means that something happened on that day which was equivalent in some way to Matan Torah. What happened? So the sheet that I gave out to you has two sides. Look first at the side that says Bereshis. There's a pasuk, Vayomer Lavan LeYaakov, and Lavan said to Yaakov, Hine Hagal Hazeh, there's a pile of rocks. And this will be a matzeva, a monument that I put between me and you. If you remember the story in Chumash that Lavan was pursuing Yaakov and he wanted to harm him, and Hashem told him, don't you dare. And eventually they met and they made up that they're going to keep separate territories, and they put not a fence, but a pile of rocks. And they said, this separates me from you. I'm on this side, you're on this side, you don't cross to my side, and I won't cross to your side. Next pasuk. Eid Hagal Hazeh, Ve'ed HaMaseva. This pile is a witness, and this monument is a witness that will not pass the pile to go to you, and you won't pass the pile to come to me. So basically, they set up a Eid Hagal to separate one from the other. So it's brought down in the Chassidus that the word Gal is the same letters as the word Lag Baomer. That before Lag Baomer, before this day, there was a Gal, there was a pile, there was a partition that separated heaven from earth. that the deep secrets of Chassidus, of Pnimius HaTorah, cannot be revealed down here. The first one to break that barrier, to breach the barrier and start beginning to bring down hidden secrets of Torah to this world was the Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. And then from that point on, things started to become easier. And then we have this sequence that I showed you, that first came Ashbi, then came the Arizal, and then Rabbi Yoel Baal Shem, and so on, until we have Chassidus, which we have today. So really, this is all a preparation for Mashiach, because then the hidden secrets of Torah will be revealed. What?
There's a barrier between what?
Where was the barrier?
No, there was a barrier between what and what?
Between heaven and earth. That, again, to explain a little bit better what I mean by a barrier, you know that Arizal was in Tzfat. Tzfat was, besides the fact that Arizal was there, some of the greatest leaders of Jewry lived there. At one point, the Arizal lived there. The Beis Yosef, who was the one who wrote the Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Yosef Kari was there, and many others. So there was a story that happened with Rabbi Yosef Kari, the author of the Shulchan Aruch, and he was struggling to understand something in Torah, and he struggled with it for a few days. And after a few days, he finally came to the understanding, and he was very excited that he now understands this deep concept of Torah that he couldn't understand before. And then something happened that just burst his bubble. He was in shul, and he hears someone teaching a class. This person was a Torah scholar, but nowhere near his level. Someone asks him this question that he was struggling with. He thinks for a second, and he gives him the answer that he discovered after a few days working so hard. So he was in shock and very disappointed and distraught. I mean, there's something wrong with me. Look, this simple person was able to think of the answer in no time, and I had to spend days to figure it out. So obviously there's something inside me that needs to be corrected, needs to be removed, some sort of a blockage. And he went to the Arizal, and he asked the Arizal, what is it and what could he do about it? And the Arizal said that he misunderstood what's going on. There's no blockage. What's going on is this. This is is insight in Torah that was never yet revealed since the day the Torah was given. But you working on it and struggling with it and finally revealing the deeper meaning to this subject, you brought it down to this world. Once it's brought down to this world, now every other people have access to it. So it's like having a wall that's blocking you and no one can get through, and everybody tries to breach the wall and they can't. It's a very strong wall. And one person comes along and works very hard and he breaks through that wall. And then you say, hey, another person just walks right through. How come I had to work so hard and I walked through? After me working hard and making an opening, everybody could just walk through easily. So there's this concept that every time a tzaddik reveals b'chlal something new in Torah, it's not just that he thought of a new idea. He actually brought down a new part of Torah that was not revealed before. He brought it down. I keep going off on a detour. I'm never going to get to my point. But another detour is that in Zohar, we find an interesting thing. Whenever there's one of the sages that's going to say words of Torah, he begins with Pasach Reb Chia Baomer. Reb Chia opened up and he said. So one of the examples which everyone knows is in the Siddur, before Kabbalah Shabbos, on Mincha time, Erev Shabbos, there's a part of the Zohar in the Siddur. And that's a statement made by Eliyahu Hanavi. How does it begin? Pasach Eliyahu Baomer. Eliyahu Hanavi opened and he said, how come in the Zohar it always says opened? You don't find this in Gemara. So the answer is because here it reveals to us that when a sage or any great Torah scholar reveals something new in Torah, it's not just that he thought of something which you didn't think of before, but Pasach, he opened a new opening and something in Torah which was blocked until now becomes revealed and brought down into this world. So how much more so when we're talking about a whole segment of Torah, the hidden secrets of Torah were blocked up until the times of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. And he's the one who made that opening, Eid HaGal Hazeh. If you turn the other side of the page, You have the word gal again, that's a pasuk in Tehillim. Now over there it says gal einai, which means uncover my eyes. I'll see the hidden things in your Torah. This pasuk is also alluding to the hidden secrets of Torah. And the word gal einai, open my eyes, alludes to Lag Baomer. That's when Hashem opened the doors, opened the window, opened whatever was blocking, and now the hidden secrets of Torah began to be revealed. And as we know that any yontif that ever happened in the past, every year when that day comes around, it reoccurs spiritually. So obviously it must mean that another layer of blockage opens up every single year. So if we're now close to 800 and something years after Abshur Bayachai, that means another opening in Shamayim in heaven is opening up, a higher one that allows more deeper secrets to be revealed. And all this is a preparation and leading up to the coming of Mashiach. So now a few more things that we need to talk about. I think one of the most important things to talk about is the subject of Simcha. First of all, why such an emphasis? And second of all, it seems to be so much out of place. After all, if someone would stop you and ask you, why are you dancing and singing? You're going to say, because Abshur Bayachai passed away. It doesn't click, doesn't follow. And even in halacha, a day of fasting is a sad day. And Shulchan Aruch talks about fasting on a yard site. Fasting, people go to the cemetery, you say Mishnayos. It's a sad day. This and this person who you love passed away. So where does this come from? Yes, Rav Shimon Bachai requested, but it has to make sense. So the Nekuda is that Rav Shimon Bachai, who is the master of the hidden secrets of Torah, he basically revealed what we're all going to be seeing when Mashiach comes. There's a famous, there's a pasuk in Shir Hashirim, in the beginning of Shir Hashirim, which talks about the love of Hashem and the Bnei Yisrael, where the second pasuk says, Yishakeni minashikas piu, that Hashem will kiss me. Rashi says, what does that mean? Just like physically, when a person kisses someone that they love, is because the love is so strong and so overwhelming that expressing it in words just will not satisfy that emotion. And therefore, when it says that Hashem it will kiss us, means that Hashem will reveal his deepest love for us. And what is it? Rashi says, he will reveal the hidden secrets of Torah when Mashiach comes. So the thing that sort of defines Mashiach coming is the hidden secrets of Torah being revealed. And there's so many verses in Torah. The Rambam, which is halacha that talks about Mashiach, which by the way, we're finishing today. Today is the last day of the cycle of learning Rambam. That's why there's going to be a scene in front of 770. This is something which is not just a PR stunt, but the Rebbe begged and pleaded that whenever we finish Rambam, there should be two kinds of siyumim. One is a grand one where the whole community gets together, and the other is local. Every single shir, every single shul, every single yeshiva that had studied Rambam to get together and make a smaller siyum. So today we end the Rambam, and the last words of the Rambam are that when Mashiach will come, the whole world will be filled with knowledge of Hashem, and they'll know the secrets of creation, the secrets of Hashem. That's what defines Mashiach. So therefore, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai was already in that place 1,800 years ago. That's where level here is at, and that's where he was holding. When Mashiach will come, a day like a yard site will actually be a day of rejoicing. How does it make sense? So think of it. What's going to happen with Tisha B'Av when Mashiach comes? Tisha B'Av is not just the yard site of one person, it's the yard site of, first of all, hundreds and thousands of Jews that were massacred when the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. So it's the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. Millions of men, women, and children were killed. And after that, the whole gullus that lasted until today, hopefully it'll come to an end, that whole gullus all began with Tisha B'Av. How in the world could that day be a Yom Tov that will be rejoicing? And it'll be more simcha than all the other Yom Tovim. So the answer is because we know that anything negative that happens has a bracha in it. So if you chas v'shalom God forbid, lose $10, there's a bracha. How big is the bracha?
What?
How big is the bracha? Right. If you lose $10, then the bracha is a hidden bracha, but probably also somewhere in the area of like the value of it is like equivalent to $10. And if you lose something much bigger, chas v'shalom, then the bracha that's hidden there is much bigger. It's very simple. If the purpose of the concealment is to hide the light, so the brighter the light, the bigger the concealment. You can't hide a bright sunlight with a little see-through curtain. You need something thicker. And the brighter the light, the thicker the curtain has to be. So if you look at Tisha B'Av and you say this was the worst, biggest concealment ever in the history of creation, it has to contain in it the biggest bracha ever in creation. But it can't make us happy because we don't see it. When Mashiach will come, that hidden bracha will be revealed, which is basically redemption and all the things that come along with it. And therefore, this day will actually become a day of simcha, because then we'll see and perceive and understand the hidden bracha in this day. And the same is with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai regarding his passing. And that's why he requested that all of us should be the simcha on this day, because basically Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai wants us to be living, he's carrying us, he's lifting us to be living sort of Mashiach-dik. And it's not just so we should have a good time and feel good. That's a good enough reason also. But the main thing is when we live Mashiach, that actually makes Mashiach come. So the Rebbe's commotion about Lag Baomer is something almost unparalleled. The way the Rebbe was very much into, before the Rebbe became Rebbe, years before, the Rebbe organized parades for children in the streets. And everybody was a little bit shocked. They never heard these things, parades, Jews parading in the streets. Where did you hear about this in any shtetl in Russia, in Poland? The Jews are modest, we stay inside, quiet. But it's a famous story with the Frierdiker Rebbe, that the Frierdiker Rebbe lived in 770 on the second floor. And during the parade that the Rebbe was organizing, he went over to the window and sat there and watched the parade. And the family there were a little bit surprised. You know, the Rebbe wasn't feeling well. And of course, a Rebbe is a Rebbe, he has so much to do, sitting and watching a parade. So when they asked the Frierdiker Rebbe why, he told them a story that when the Alter Rebbe, I need a sitter, I don't know if you ever noticed this. Oh, is there a sitter in the house? Okay, we'll use a small one. Oh, thank you. Friday night is a small little few lines that you find in the Siddur. It's before Shmona Esrei, and we don't say it. We don't say it. It starts with the word V'shamru. Most of the world says it.
Why would they say?
What?
Why would they say?
Why we don't say it? That's what I'm going to talk about right now. It's in the Siddur right before Shmona Esrei, Friday night. Here, it's in the gray area. You don't say it. If you don't say it, why is it in the Siddur? If it's in the Siddur, why don't we say it? So the story behind it is that Levi Yitzchak Baditcher said to the Alter Rebbe, why didn't you put into your text of davening V'shamru? When the Yidden say V'shamru, in Yiddish, he said there's a Yerid L'mayla. Yerid means there's a big, like a fair, you know, when there's a fair, thousands of people come to buy and sell and merchandise, and there's a big commotion. So when Yidden say V'shamru, there's a huge commotion up there. So the Alter Rebbe answered, I don't have to go to all Yeridin. I don't have to travel to every single fair that's out there. But because the Alter Rebbe held this tzaddik of Levi Yitzchak Baditcher so precious, so in his honor, he put it in the Siddur. But we don't say it. For whatever reason, we don't know. But the Alter Rebbe's answer was, I don't have to go on every Yerid. So the Frierdiker Rebbe concluded, but in this Yerid, the Alter Rebbe did come. In fact, there was one year when the Rebbe was speaking after Lag Baomer, and he said there were people that they didn't come to the parade because they were thinking, for kids, for children, what am I going to do there? And the Rebbe said, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was able to come to the parade. and he couldn't come to the parade. So obviously these parades are not so simple. It's celebrating what Reb Shimon Bar Yochai wants us to celebrate. It's living Mashiach and bringing down Mashiach, and therefore everyone should really be part of it. And the main thing is to be the simcha. And regarding the simcha, there's a story written in the writings of the Arizal. That Arizal writes, I see I'm already going to get started with the Sikha. Okay. Anyway, the Arizal writes that there was a student, his name was Rabbi Halevi, and he and the Arizal went to Miron together on Lag Baomer, and something happened, a certain tragedy happened to this student. And he has a reason why it happened. And the Arizal said, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai told him the reason why it happened was because you had disturbed his simcha. And what was it? There's a tefillah that we say in davening only once a year on Tisha B'Av. It's called Nachem. We say this in Shemon Esrei. And even Tisha B'Av, we don't say it for Shachris. We don't say it for Ma'ariv. Only once for Mincha, the only time of the year. This student felt the pain of Churban Beis Hamikdash to such a degree that every single day, every tefillah, he would say this Nachem. He came to Miron, it was Lag Baomer, and he did like he always does. He said this tefillah. So the Rashbi said the reason why it happened because today you shouldn't have said this tefillah because it disturbed. It's not supposed to be a sad day; it's supposed to be a happy day. And why was Yitaka so sad? I'll just explain this. So the Arizal writes, his neshama was a Gilgul, a reincarnation of Yirmiyahu Hanavi. Yirmiyahu Hanavi was the Navi that prophesied the destruction. He lived through the destruction. He's the one who wrote Eicha. He saw all the horrific things that happened. No one's pain in the world could be as painful as Yirmiyahu Hanavi. And this person, his neshama, was a Gilgul of Yirmiyahu Hanavi. So he felt the pain more than anyone else, and so therefore he really had a legitimate reason to say Nachem every day. Nevertheless, not on Lag Baomer. So that's the Rebbe brings the story just to support this idea that no matter what, Lag Baomer has to be simcha. Yeah, Nigel.
Do you know what tragedy happened to him on this day?
I think I remember hearing that he lost 2 children. I guess, yeah. Okay. So now there's a number of things we need to talk to. Somebody can hold back the clock. We have 5 minutes. Where do we start? Okay, let me quickly say and explain. I won't even give out the sikha. It's in Yiddish anyway, it's going to be harder to follow. So let me talk about one point. Why is there so much emphasis on children, like Baomer? On one hand, it's Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. It's all about the deepest secrets of Torah. It's the opposite. It's about not only not children, it's about the greatest, deepest scholars and Talmidei Chacham of Torah rather than children. So there's a few years in this sikha that I was going to give out. Anyone who wants it, I can give you the sikha. But in this sikha, the Rebbe brings about 4 or 5 reasons. One reason is we just finished saying that this day is Matan Torah, of the hidden secrets of Torah. So we know that when the Torah was given, Hashem asked for guarantors. Who are the guarantors? The children. So being that this is the day, the Matan Torah, Pnimis Torah, we also emphasize the children. One reason. Another reason it's given is being that on this day, it's also a day that we celebrate the fact that the students of Rabbi Akiva, unfortunately, who are dying, stopped dying on this day. So therefore, it's a day that we celebrate with students. And that's where the idea of children come in. Even though those students were adults, but nevertheless, it's Talmidim, so it's about children. Another reason that's given is that Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the Gemara says, was unique in the sense that he lived on the level of terasei umnasei. Terasei umnasei means he had no other occupation. Torah was his occupation, and there's nothing else in the world that he cared about, that he had to take care of. And the Gemara says even great tzaddikim try to follow that they only studied Torah, and I guess they weren't involved in anything else, Gashmias. And the Gemara says they couldn't keep up with it. Only Reb Shimon Bar Yochai and a few others were able to live on that level. So the Rebbe says the only ones who are somewhat like Reb Shimon Bar Yochai in a certain smaller scale are children. Children also have no occupation, only one thing. I told this story once. Some of you have heard it from me. When I was bar mitzvah, I went into the Rebbe's room with my family. And the Rebbe asked me if I'm going to say a mimer by the bar mitzvah. So I said, yes. So the Rebbe said, okay, say it. I want to hear it. Okay, no choice. I start saying the mimer. The first part of the mimer begins with the Yidden saying to Hashem, we really want to study Torah day and night, but we don't have the time. And Hashem says to the Yidden, put on tefillin, and I will consider it as if you're studying Torah day and night. When I came to the end of that paragraph, the Rebbe took over and continued with the niggin of a mimer, and he said in Yiddish, he said, but you have no worries about parnasa, you can study Torah day and night, you can't get away with tefillin. In other words, those Jews didn't have time to learn, so Hashem said, okay, put on tefillin, it's as if you're learning day and night. So children, Baruch Hashem, in most cases, healthy cases, they have parents who take care of them, and therefore they don't have to worry about parnasa. So in a sense, it's a small scale of terasa yomnasa. And if you'll see the Hayom Yom today, you'll also see that the Mitzvah Rebbe used to go out to the field on Lag Baomer, and that's part of the custom that everyone should go out somewhere on Lag Baomer. That's why we canceled school. And there were many miracles that he performed on that day, and the miracles primarily were regarding children. People who didn't have children would come to him for brachas, and on that day, those brachas were fulfilled. And by the way, people did this with the Rebbe as well. People came from all over the world to be here, like Baomer, to get a bracha for the Rebbe, from the Rebbe for children. And again, has to do seemingly with the fact that this is a yontiv that specifically pertains to children. And one more thing, which is maybe not as clear, but it seems the Sikh alludes to that, is there's a pasuk in Tehillim, we say this in davening, Al tigul b'mishichai, do not touch my anointed one. What does it mean? Simple pshat means the leaders of the community. But then the Gemara says, Elu Tenei K'Shebei Yisrael, it means the children. Why are children called my anointed one? The simple pshat is, Rashi says, children, they play in the sand, they play in the dirt. So the mothers put all sorts of oils on them or powder so they should smell good because they're running around and they're getting into a lot of dirt. The Rebbe says on a deeper level, Mashiach means Mashiach. Why are children called Mashiach? Because children, their emunah in general, and their emunah in Mashiach is as pure as could be, it's as revealed as could be. And the reason is because the spark of Mashiach that every Yid has is more revealed in children than in adults. So that seems to be another reason why children, because this is a day, it is a Mashiach day, and a lot of interesting things happen on this day, but there's not enough time to talk about it. So if any time of the day a teacher will be absent, I'll try to grab the opportunity and fill in, or maybe we'll do this on Friday and you'll think about it retroactively. Okay. So, Freilich and Lag Baomer, everybody.